Hi everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today I'm going to be playing a vehicle that I thought I was going to love inside the game. It is the new Tier 10 Italian heavy tank. It is the Rinoceronte. Now, when I heard about this vehicle for the first time, let's just jump into some gameplay live today so I can see if I maybe could get lucky in this vehicle, because I haven't really been getting lucky so far in the tank. When I first saw the statistics of this vehicle, and when I first had the pleasure of trying it before Christmas, I was sitting there thinking to myself, wow, this thing looks really fun. I really like the idea of having like a bonus if you have to fire early in a heavy tank, because that means that you're going to end up hopefully firing as early as you need to, because heavy tanks obviously sometimes get into those awkward situations where they can't use their mobility to control the engagements, and therefore, unlike the Italian medium tanks, they're kind of unable to deliver those perfect magazines. However, from my preview on this vehicle, that all of you will know that I said that it was definitely a little bit lackluster. Nothing was really ever improved about the tank. Now, I made that preview on the first iteration of the test server. And I really thought that on iteration 2 or iteration 3 of the test server, the Rinoceronte would be buffed. Unfortunately, that is not the case, and the Rinoceronte went into the game in my opinion, an underpowered fashion from the first stage of testing. Now, this is very unique for a new vehicle going inside World of Tanks. Usually, new tier 10 tanks are exceptionally good. Think about the CS63, very fast tank, has a pretty darn good DPM. In fact, it's the fastest medium tank in the game. And I've been using that vehicle to win a large majority of my games. But that's not unusual. There are many tier 10 tanks where I feel like I can win at least 65% of my games if I'm playing well on a given day. The Rinoceronte, on the other hand, even though I have been absolutely try-harding my pants off in this vehicle, it just hasn't quite been working out for me. Well, maybe something would be along the lines of actually just letting that AMX 1390 just drive into our artillery. That's not very good. Can I get around this corner and avoid the T110E3? Possibly, yes. So, I've just been really struggling in this tank. I guess this sounds a bit weird, but I've been slumming it with 59% win ratio. That's not that bad. I've nearly played 100 games in this tank. But it's not sometimes about just win ratio, right? Sometimes it's about just the enjoyment of playing a tank. Sometimes it's about how the vehicle feels. And I can tell you that the abysmal damage per minute of the Rinoceronte kind of just makes it just not feel very fun. You always feel like you're fighting against... Oh! There we go. I had to pause there. I had to really focus on that shot. Unfortunately, I let both of my artillery die, which is going to make our likelihood of winning this game if it goes on for a very long time very dubious. But the damage per minute just feels so incredibly frustrating, and I always feel when I play this tank that I'm either having to hold back or I feel as if I'm making sacrifices. That's the best way of looking at it. I feel that I'm always having to make the best of a bad decision when I play this tank. Talking about a bad decision, that T110E3 has decided to advance right across the middle of the map. Maybe we can go and exploit that. Really what holds this vehicle back is a multitude of things. It's not extraordinarily fast for a heavy tank, but it's not slow. It doesn't really have the worst armor that you could ever have, but it's definitely not tier 10 heavy. Feels more like a tier 9 heavy tank kind of armor. And most people are just going to fire either regular rounds with high penetration and go through your turret fairly reliably from the front, unless you're using your gun depression, of course. Or alternatively, oh yeah, what's that number that comes after 1 that a lot of people like to load inside World of Tanks? Hold on, let's say I'm going to help this player against the T110E3. Yeah, the 2 key, aka the gold rounds inside World of Tanks, and that can make this vehicle have a very bad day indeed. But then again, for this kind of a situation, this is where this tank is so hard to balance. Because I can just come around the corner and I could have dealt 1,470 damage to the T110E3 there, and there's nothing they could do. But to be fair, that T110E3 put themselves in a stupid position. Okay, so I'm hoping this Rinoceronte isn't going to be able to get me on the left. Maybe he is. He's actually going to be looking at me, and this could be very awkward. Notice how I haven't even managed to fully reload the magazine, even though we killed the T110E3 pretty much about 20 seconds ago. This tank just takes so long. I'm going to tell this guy I'm going to help him again. And the hull armor is bad. So we managed to finish off the Rinoceronte with another 2 shots. There's an IS-32 around the corner. And this game's actually starting to look like it could be quite interesting. Apart from the artillery that we're going to have to definitely watch out for. I don't really want to go around that corner because I think that artillery are going to focus me. I don't think it's right to push down that alleyway, especially with the Gorilla and the UDES up on the corner. So instead what I want to do is I want to fall back and probably try and secure one of the flanks, or maybe I can go and try and supplement the 60 TP fight over there against my 279E and a Gorilla. Oh, well, they probably don't need much help if they've got a 279E over there. But then again, the 60 TP is one of those vehicles that Wargaming on the Sandbox test server with the HE changes seemingly wants to just destroy. How did I get spotted there? Do you think it was an IS-32 through the window? I do. So, got to watch out for a T-54 hitting me in the side here. If he's got heat rounds, he'll easily be able to go into me, and I don't really want to get caught by the IS-32 there. Okay, so the T-54 might think that they're flanking me, but wrong, you're not flanking me. Oh, that's an STB-1, I have to use my repair kit. Okay, this is an awkward situation for this tank, because unless the Progetto 65 gets one round into the T-54, I'm going to be in a lot of trouble. So what I'm going to do is just hold on to my DPM, see if I can turn around, and then this player is just going to YOLO. So I need some help. I need the Progetto to hit him once. I'm going to fire again, because even though it's going to lower my DPM, you have to still use it as an autoloader, right? You can't use it as a single shot tank the whole time. If you use it as a single shot tank the whole time, you're not going to do very well. So that guy's fired. I could come around the corner and finish him off, hopefully before he reloads. Oh, there's a big load of rubble there that I didn't expect, and now there's an AMX-30 there as well. Okay, so I'm in a pretty strong position here when I think that we've got a Progetto up on the corner. I can't really go round because I know that the artillery are going to be focusing me. So what I have to do right now is hopefully be like a Rhino, the Rinoceronte, right? And just try and lock these players down. Try and hold them in position. They're not actually proxy spotting me. Where's that IS-32 coming from? Okay, I managed to track him. He's in full panic mode. We'll finish him off. Well, I can't believe it. Is this what I have to do? I play 90 games on stream, and I never do well in the Rinoceronte, and then I want to play one live for YouTube, and just maybe, possibly, we might be about to see something fairly cool inside this tank, although I don't have that many rounds left. I got spotted again by gosh knows what. Did that STB-1 really catch me, or was it a Gorilla? Okay, YouTube. I don't think I have much time right now. I think I have to be more active. I think I have to be more aggressive. So I'm going to go around the corner and see if I can start to apply some pressure to the AMX-30. There's one. There's two. And he burns, so I have to waste the round, but I'm going to do it anyway. Okay, I'm going to start reloading heat. Oh my lord, I can't believe it. Oh no, I'm one versus the whole of the enemy team because my DPM was too low to be able to deal with all of the enemy vehicles, and I was too slow as well. Probably the STB-1, I need to finish him off quickly. And here's where I'll just never recover my damage. I'm never going to be able to get my DPM back to a point where I will ever be able to fight all of these vehicles. If I was in a different tier 10 tank, I might have been faster, I might have been able to control the situation, I might have been able to handle it. But now, unfortunately, because I'm in the Rinoceronte, that means that I'm not able to, and probably I'm going to get artillery as I come around the corner, but I have to go anyway and fire there. Now I'm in the open for artillery. There's a Gorilla who's on 700 hit points. I've got to try and think about where the enemy artillery will be. I'm going to pretend like I'm coming around that corner. Oh, well, one artillery's fired. I've got to make a play. I've got to make a play. The Gorilla's going to be trying to flank me, and there's a UDES right there. I might as well fire right now. Get one into him. Now I don't have the DPM to fight back, and oh dear, it's starting to look ugly. Do I wait for a reload? Maybe I try and hide my hull armor here. Wait for a reload. 60 TP is going to flank me. He's a one-shot. Still got to wait for my DPM, but they're all just going to zerg me at the same time and wait for artillery to get me. That guy's going to go hull down, so I actually have to back him around the corner a little bit more, so I'll be able to get a side shot into him. Don't think the 60 TP will think that I'm aiming at him. And I fire at his tracks, so I don't get the shot in. That's because I ran out of APCR rounds, and I would have needed to have more ammunition in the vehicle to be able to handle it. But I tell you what, that is one of my best games so far in the Rinoceronte. I'm happy with 6,200 damage and 5 kills. Will it be an ace? I don't think so. I think it's going to be a second-class medal or even a first-class medal. If it is an ace, I'll be so happy. Second class, come on. I've played 93 games in this vehicle, and I've never been able to ace it so far. A decent enough round for this tank. 16 shots, 16 hits, and it was the final shot, the 60 TP, that unfortunately went into their tracks. Good player, well played to use 60 TP. Looks like he went and made this 2-7... What? We had a 54% win rate player in a 279E early who got completely overpowered by the 60 TP. I'm not sure if that was because they were spamming high explosive rounds. Doesn't look like it, because when we take, 7 pens, that'll make sure that, yeah, that pretty much matches up if they were rolling high on damage or they got a fire on Amarak. So not a bad game there for the Rinoceronte. But, so is it a problem? Do you think the reason why I'm not enjoying this tank right now is maybe because it's not, like, completely underpowered, but because it's just not quite ever good enough in any situation to appear fun? Now, look, just because I had arguably my best game so far in the Rinoceronte and had it live, that's obviously going to affect my emotions and my knee-jerk reaction right now. But that doesn't change how I felt about the vehicle for the previous 90 games. And the way that I felt about the vehicle for the previous 90 games is just this immense sense of frustration, really. Not having enough DPM to be able to go in. Being in a situation like I was at the end of the game there, where I literally had to wait to reload instead of trying to... Yes, I'm slow enough as it is. Thank you, E100, though. I appreciate it. I'm sure you have to rush into position. Not having enough DPM to be able to actually blow my way out of that situation. That sounds a bit weird. You know what I'm trying to say, as in blow each tank up to be able to get out of the situation. Yeah, that's what we meant, definitely. So that's the trouble that I've been having in the tank. The DPM is just not high enough to be able to, for example, take a chancy shot at the start of the game against this T-54 lightweight like every other heavy tank pretty much could. To just be able to be a tank. Like, I can fire now, and then that means that I'm going to get a reload boost to my second shell, but it would have been better if I had been fully loaded, and then I wouldn't have to wait for the 13 seconds afterwards. The compensation mechanic for your DPM, I enjoy it, and it's useful. It's definitely more useful than it's not, but does it make up for just the absolute abysmal damage per minute that this vehicle has? And the answer just is no. That's really... Wow, that Batchat's a very good player. For him to come around the corner like that, that's something I have to respect. Well played, Batchat. Wonder if he'll come around the corner again. Yeah, well played, Batchat. Okay, I've got to respect that player up on the hill. Are they in a platoon? Doesn't look like that. Is he really coming back again? Well, I'll punish you for that. Now, that's where the compensation mechanic is actually really good, though, right? Because that Batchat, he was just taking swings at me again and again and again. And I decided, well, you know what? I know you're reloading, so why don't I just take a chance to be able to get you right now? He's still good. That's his last shell. He's fired all 6. Hopefully I can manage to get this Leopard without getting hit in the side by the SW1. Not the SW1, that's from the last game. The S1 even on the enemy team. Alright, hopefully I don't get clapped by the FV4005 up there. Good, I don't. So I've lost a lot of hit points early on in this game, unlike I did in that last game. I actually looked after my hit points very well in that last game. Maybe that's what you have to do in the Rinoceronte. Maybe you have to be thinking about looking after your hit points, unlike the Leopard. Oh, that T-54 lightweight, did he spot me? Yes, he did. That's a shame. Okay, this is actually a very nice matchup for the vehicle, so I kind of want to be a little bit aggressive, but I also don't. Whoa, the FV4005 just got spotted on the other flank, which means that I can probably start to actually harass the middle a little bit. I'm thinking, will the S1 come around the corner? Oh, it's a Progetto right against me. Oh, I just don't have quite got the gun depression, so I'm going to back out of that. So that's the Progetto spotted. T28 above us. Maybe I'm in a little bit of a defensive mode from that last game. Anyway, let me just focus back on what I'm trying to say about the Rinoceronte. Maybe the vehicle isn't... It's not like the worst thing you will ever play. But trust me, if you're an active player who likes to feel that they can influence at least most of the battles that they play, all in all, for me, it feels like a very frustrating tank. It feels like the auto-reloader mechanic, wargaming to be able to balance it out, has effectively just made the vehicle no fun. But it is a hard thing to balance, because how do you balance this, right? Oh yeah. Just that's how you balance it, right? So to be able to balance the auto-reloader mechanic, even though that's one of the first shells that we've truly missed, let me show you what the statistics of the Rinoceronte are like. And that is that, as I showed in my tank preview of the vehicle, that the Rinoceronte literally has the worst gun handling on any heavy tank. Looks like I can't spell. I couldn't find R to save my life there. Look at that, 0.3 when moving and 0.14 when turning the turret. It is just absolutely abysmal. And it almost means that you have to sacrifice so many pieces of equipment on the tank to be able to rein it in with a rotation device. Oh, can you believe this person attacked just as I did? He didn't know I was there. That was literally him just getting out of the harm's way of the WTR Panzer IV. And in the end, he just sacrifices himself to the WTR Panzer IV. That was incredibly frustrating. I might take a second shell from the T-54 lightweight. Luckily, I don't. But I know where he is now. Yeah. So all in all, the Rinoceronte right now, I thought I would love this tank. I thought that it was going to be an absolute blast. I love my auto-reloading medium tanks. Many of you will know that I loved the Progetto 65 so much that I decided to get it on 2 accounts. That was the first line that I grinded on my free-to-play account, and I was able to play those vehicles very well free-to-play as well. However, this vehicle, it's just not been quite my cup of tea, boys and girls. I've been trying so unbelievably hard at it, and all that has been happening in the tank is I've ended up frustrated. My wins, I don't feel like it was ever the tank that allowed me to be able to pick up the victory as he just drives around just casually killing people at the end of the game. I just never felt that it was truly the Rinoceronte which was the reason why I was able to get through that game in a unique way. I feel like this vehicle, as I said in my tank review, suffers from not truly feeling like a heavy tank and also not feeling like a medium tank as well at the same time. And then it just doesn't feel like it ends up being a rewarding kind of gameplay style. I would prefer this vehicle, frankly, if it was a medium, or off with his head, or if it was a heavy. I would suggest to Wargaming to look at one way to be able to focus the Rinoceronte. If they want to make it more of a medium-esque vehicle, it's just a little bit too slow and its gun handling is a little too poor. Or maybe they could just pump up the DPM of it a little bit so you didn't always feel that you were trying to play catch-up, which is how I do feel whenever I play the Rinoceronte. Alternatively, if they want it to play like a heavy tank, why does it have the worst in class gun handling, and why does it also just not really have the armor to be able to get it through most situations like heavy tanks are kind of meant to? All in all, the result is that I've been doing pretty much the same kind of damage in the Tier 9 Progetto 66 as I have been doing in the Rinoceronte, and as you would expect, if your damage and impact is the same as it was at Tier 10 at Tier 9, my win ratio in the vehicle is 7% higher. I'm winning 2/3 of my games in the Tier 9, and I'm averaging below what I would expect of myself in Tier 10 heavy tanks at 59, at least so far after that win with the Rinoceronte. So just because how I feel about a tank doesn't mean that the whole of the server is feeling about the vehicle in the same way, right? So firstly, I'll be interested to know what you will have to say in the comments down below. And secondly, I went on to the awesome What Life website, which has updated the average win ratios for all of the Italian heavy tanks. And we can see that the Rinoceronte has an average win ratio of 49.88. Now, that doesn't sound too bad when you consider that roughly about 1% of all games in World of Tanks are draws these days. Then that means that the average win ratio for a vehicle would be 49.5%. So you might be thinking, well, the Rinoceronte sounds like it's at least average or slightly above average. But here's where you also have to take into account that not many players have managed to get the Rinoceronte yet. In fact, on the European server, only 18,000 people have actually played the Rinoceronte. And when we compare the Rinoceronte's initial win ratio to what you would expect of a new Tier 10 tank, when only the most truly dedicated and arguably experienced players have access to that Tier 10 vehicle very early on in its release cycle, the win ratio is actually quite poor. If we look at what Tier 10 tech tree tank, apart from the Object 268 version 4, has the highest win ratio, you might be surprised to know that the CS63 is actually packing the highest win ratio of any Tier 10 tech tree tank. That's because it's new. That's because the more dedicated and experienced players are playing the vehicle and they are competing better than people who have the T62A and they're playing in the Matchmaker, for example. Let's talk about other fairly new vehicles to the game as well. Panhard EBR 105. That might be a different kind of example. That might be considering that now 120,000 people have played the vehicle on the European server, that might also be that the vehicle is very good indeed, even with the nerfs. But look at the Manticore. I don't think anyone expects the Manticore to be one of the best tier 10 light tanks, but here it is with actually the highest win ratio apart from the Panhard EBR 105 with regards to tier 10 light tanks. Is that because the Manticore has the best statistics? Yeah, probably not. Is it because only the truly dedicated light tank lovers out there and experienced players are playing the Manticore? Yes, it is. And so that's why the Rinoceronte's win ratio of 49.88 so far on the European server is really quite poor. I'd say that it's probably going to end up more around the low 49, if not the 48% win rate mark, as more of the casual players get towards the Rinoceronte and find out that, yeah, it's just not really the easiest kind of tank to play, or even a good tank to play. And that for me is a sad state of affairs for a brand new tier 10 tank which has a new mechanic. On the other hand, I don't expect every new tier 10 tank to go into the game in a broken fashion, or to suddenly be the new best thing that everybody's going to enjoy. Or should I say, it's going to dominate all the games. That's clearly not very healthy for World of Tanks. On the other hand, I feel like the Rinoceronte, it's definitely below the mark in this case. While I don't want every new tier 10 tank to smash the balance of the game, I still feel like there has to be a reason to play it, or that it actually has to be fun when you're playing the new mechanic on the new tank. And again, I'd be really interested to see what you all have to say about the Rinoceronte. Do you think that it's an absolutely incredible vehicle? Have you played the tank? Have you been avoiding it? Have you been seeing many of them in the Matchmaker? And when you do see them in the Matchmaker, are they absolutely dominating their games? Anyway, that's it for today, ladies and gents. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. But if you hated it, give it a thumbs down. And also, if you're waiting for my opinion about Crew 2.0 from the Sandbox test server, I still need to spend a little bit more time on there. Still trying to figure it out myself, so stay tuned to the channel. I do have an opinion on Crew 2.0, but I'm finalizing it before I make the video. I really want to take my time with that one because I think it's really important for the direction of the game that we all come to well-rounded opinions rather than just knee-jerk reactions about it. And also, stay tuned. There might be another Best Moments video coming very soon to the channel. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.